What's up, world? Drew Marcy here for I Read Your Book, and today we're going to give you 10 reasons why I prefer hard copy books over electronic books, ebooks, Kindle, etc. Interestingly, according to ebookfriendly.com, 92% of millennials prefer hard copy books to electronic ones. So if you're watching this, you're probably like me and you enjoy hard copy books. So I'm going to run through 10 reasons why I enjoy them, and maybe you have the same reasons. So let's get into 10 reasons why I prefer hard copy books to electronic ones. Number one, I'm oversaturated with screens as it is. I'm on my screen, my phone, my computer, my laptop, the TV all day. Obviously, I work in YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. I have another channel, How to Rap. Go check that out as well. But I do a lot of work on screens. My livelihood depends on it. When I'm not working on my channel and editing and making music, all the things you do on your computer, I'm on my phone. Even just Uber to get around, I'm using a phone. Chatting with friends, most of the time I'm on a phone. So I'm on a screen all the time, and my brain is kind of anchored to using the screen to do work or chat with people. So anytime I can get away from it is a really good reason. And if I'm doing it while reading and learning something, it's really helpful. Kind of related, point number two, hard copies kind of anchor me to learning and thinking. Just because I grew up in an era where we were reading most of our books hard copy, all my parents read hard copy books, I think of learning and considering things and expanding my consciousness or whatever with hard copies. Like, I'm anchored to that much more than I'm anchored to expanding my consciousness using a screen. It's a really good anchor when I have a book in my hand. And the kind of books that I read, you see the kind of stuff I do on this channel. The kind of books that I read are usually nonfiction about the state of the world or how to improve the world or how to improve myself. So I'm already anchored to having a hard copy book in my hands and feeling positive. Number three, at the end of the day, if I read in bed instead of use my phone, it helps me to go to sleep. There's a lot of studies and data that already shows that the screen and looking at a screen right before you go to sleep can mess up your REM cycle and all that sleep related stuff. So reading instead of checking out my screen will help me with going to sleep, reading a hard copy. Number four, kind of related to number two, when I'm reading a hard copy book, it feels like school. It reminds me of my past in school where we were reading textbooks, having a highlight, going to the school bookstore and having to buy whatever the novel, John Steinbeck stuff we were reading. So I'm just kind of anchored to feeling like it's time to expand my education every time I hold a hard copy book, as opposed to a Kindle or a screen, an iPad, all that. I don't have any anchor from my childhood with reading and learning heavy, in-depth stuff on a screen. Number five, I highlight my books and I write little things in the margin. That helps me to keep it active, and it feels like a physical process. It feels like I'm much more engaged in my learning and my reading. So having that hard book to highlight, also kind of a benefit of that is when I've read all the way through a book and it's highlighted all the way through, somebody checks out the book, they're like, "You read this joint?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, check it out." And I can just, flip through the pages and you see, oh, this boy highlighted everything. I could flip to a page and point right to where it's highlighted and be like, yeah, this passage really meant this to me because of this. So just having the highlight and the activity associated with a hard copy definitely helps my retention as well. Number six, kind of related to what we're talking about, ebooks are in entertainment land to me. For me, if I'm on an ebook platform, if I'm on Kindle, iBooks, something like that, I'm still only 2 clicks away from Facebook, Instagram. I'm holding something that I'm used to scrolling through Twitter with. So I don't have a relationship with learning and avoiding entertainment when I'm on that phone that I would with a hard copy. Number seven, there's nothing sexier than a bookcase. I'll tell you, I've been partying with people, a girl that I'm interested in, and we're partying, and most of the night is just sort of, having a good time talking about dumb stuff. And then I get to her house and she has a bookcase. And so I can check out the book she's reading. I can pull one out. We can start a conversation. Same with me. Somebody comes over to my crib, they see the books. You get to learn about somebody very quickly just with a cursory glance of their bookcase. So having a bookcase is kind of evidence of, this is a person that's invested in increasing their future and increasing their education. Nothing sexier than a bookcase. Kind of related, number eight, it helps maintain a relationship with bookstores. Being in a bookstore, places of learning, libraries, all that. So having a relationship with hardcover books is a really good way for you to feel like you're part of the culture of in-person bookstores. poetry readings, libraries, like places of education and growing yourself. So just even having books around, and just in the same way that having people in the same house as you makes you feel safer because you feel like humanity cares about you, the same with having books around you. I feel like it makes me feel more like I'm committed to my education. Number 9, it's easier to finish a book and hold yourself accountable to read all the way through the book, or at least most of the book, till you get that personal takeaway that we like to talk about. Easier to just prioritize the book when it's sitting right next to you, when it's sitting right there, rather than being on a phone where you might forget about it because you're in entertainment land, an iPad, or even a Kindle. Like if you just don't read your Kindle for 3 weeks, then it's just a piece of the furniture. It's no different than a glass that you haven't picked up to clean, right? But having a full-on book with the cover right there on your bedside just kind of helps you to prioritize it. And number 10, it stakes a claim in a room or a home. This is your space. Just like having, your favorite painting placed on the wall in your bedroom, or having your sports logo, a sports poster in your house, and everybody knows this is the fan of, Manchester City or the Patriots. Those are my teams. It's a way to stake your space by having the books that you like about the subjects that you're interested in right there. So it feels really comfortable. Like I still have a pretty empty house. Like I only moved here like a couple months ago, but I have a lot of my books here already, and just having them around, it feels like my space. When you come into my crib, you're gonna see the books I'm interested in, and it shows how I get down, like what I'm interested in, much like it being sexy, right? Or being interesting and showing a person's personality pretty quick. Having those hardcover books around definitely demonstrates who I am in my soul. So that is 10 reasons that I prefer hard copy books to electronic books. As always, we like to end these videos with a question, of course. Do you prefer hard copy books to electronic books? Do you mostly read hard copy books? What's your relationship? What's your over under? What's the verses on hard copies versus electronic? Please let us know your opinion. And of course, if this is your first time watching us, be sure to subscribe with notifications. We drop book related, education, expanding self related content all the time. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to view this video. I'm Drew Morrissey for I Read Your Book.